Welcome to today's show. I am your host, Eric Darnley Small. And again, if you like today's show, you like what you're seeing, you like me, you like what we're talking about, or you want to be notified of new episodes, you can just like and subscribe to this video and click the bell to be notified of new content as it uploads. I try and upload fairly regularly. I'm getting a lot better at it right now. In addition, you'll find that I'm going to read from some articles today. I encourage you to Mastodon me at mastodon.vtip.me/@what-you-missed. And there you will see the entire article. And I encourage you highly to go ahead and read the entire article. You can also reach out to me, reach out to the show at the Mastodon site as well. In addition, I am doing smaller videos in case if you don't like longer videos. I'm doing shorter videos at my TikTok, tiktok.com/@EricDSmall. You can also like those videos and follow them as well. On today's show, I want to do just a little bit of a overall broad sort of stroke on where I think that the media is and where I think we're at. A few stories caught my eye, and this is going to be one of those days where it's just a just what caught my eye sort of day, storylines. And one of them you may have already heard about, but it is worth repeating: the level of incompetence in this new administration. I have mentioned on my last video that the markets are taking a dive. I took a dive last week, and they have not recovered. In fact, they are still in a bad way. I'm going to bring up, as of this recording, see where we're at. Yeah, so the markets are, S&P is down 500. They're trying to make a comeback. Dow Jones is in the green. Finally, earlier it was in the red. They're trying to make a comeback. But the markets are struggling, and the markets are struggling because Donald Trump and his administration is not making things easier. The threats of tariffs, the deportations, and all that kind of stuff. The markets are beginning to wonder: is this really a smart way to go? Is this man really doing good things for the economy? And most importantly, will it cause a recession? So I think indicates that they are beginning to realize that the Trump boom and the ability for Trump to keep inflation down is not really going to materialize. But on top of that, we've got incompetence, rank incompetence on this administration. And you may have seen how the nuclear scientists were all fired. There's the Republican Party and the conservative movement kind of has a jihad against the energy department. They don't seem to know what the hell it does. Famously, Rick Perry, famously at one of the Republican debates, talked about eliminating the energy department. That was actually the 2015 into 16 election, which brought about Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump won the election, he put Rick Perry in charge of the energy, made him energy secretary. And Rick Perry learned that the energy department handles our nuclear stockpile. So you don't want to eliminate that part of the government, as he suggested. But apparently Elon Musk does. And they eliminated these inspectors, found out what they did at the last minute, and then tried to rehire them, and are having difficulty doing that because, remember, they have the ethos of move fast and break things. And sometimes when you move fast and break things, people get hurt. In addition, we've got this news, and this is the BBC, but I mean, this is as good a reliable a source as you can get. This is from 5 days ago, but Trump administration is trying to rehire USDA bird flu officials it fired. So this is another situation where it moved fast, broke something, and now it's trying to pick up the pieces together. Rank incompetence. And people are going to begin to notice, and I'll get into that in a minute. But first, let me read from this article. Again, links are at the Mastodon site. U.S. President Donald Trump administration is attempting to rehire officials with the U.S. Department of Agriculture who worked on the government's response to bird flu before being fired over the weekend, U.S. media reports. The layoffs were part of a cost-cutting mission across the U.S. government by Trump and Elon Musk's Doge. The terminations came as the latest outbreak of bird flu has wreaked havoc on poultry and cattle farms, causing egg prices to skyrocket and raising concerns among public health experts. A USDA spokesperson told the BBC that although several officials working on bird flu were notified of their terminations over the weekend, we are working to swiftly rectify the situation and rescind those letters. Bird flu has circulated among American poultry flocks for years, but the virus found a new foothold in the U.S. last year when it began to infect dairy cows. So this is something that really has ravaged California and done a lot of damage to the poultry industry. But it is further proof that the people who are doing the firing don't know what they're doing. Also of note, what happened over the weekend is that Elon Musk sent an email to all employees of the federal government to explain what it is they do and have done the last week. And immediately it got pushed back, and judges got involved to tell them ignore that email. Because, of course, he has no authority to do that. But this is the kind of chaos that is being created. And there is some fight back. And to begin with, this is a article out of The Verge. Federal workers launched a new site to share inside information about Doge. And it goes on to say that around a dozen current and former federal workers are behind a new website created as an outlet to share anonymous stories and technical expertise about the government, the Department of the Government Efficiency's dismantling of government agencies. We, the builders, aim to be a secure outlet for government workers to share how their workplace are being impacted by Doge, and a place to explain the real-world impact of its access to government such as systems, a former federal worker behind the project tells The Verge. The website was created by people who made government websites easier to use while protecting the integrity of your personal information. Had Doge wanted to use technology to build more efficient country, they would ask us, the site says, but they haven't. They are destroyers. We are the builders. The website is aimed at informing the general public about what's happening inside the federal agencies, as well as explaining how a database being accessed by Doge in Washington, D.C. could impact citizens in tangible ways all across the country. I want to make sure that people understand that data matters, says the former federal worker who was granted anonymity for fear of retribution and harassment in going public, but whose identity has been confirmed by The Verge. If I can explain that in a way that helps you be able to protect yourself and advocate for yourself, then I'm doing my job. One of the things of note that I have heard and have seen is that folks have suggested that people get some of the software and some of the programs that are offered by companies like Experian that will monitor your credit so that no funky business is going on. People are opening up credit cards in your name. You want to be extra careful at this time as your data is being seen by strangers that nobody has heard of. And there are a bunch of teenagers. Apparently 60 Minutes on Sunday had a video of watching these kids walk into the CFPB to begin dismantling that agency. Again, totally against the law. So, but the fight continues, and this is from the Idaho Statesman, and I want to isolate and discuss more and more of on the ground type of information like this that are happening in the states. Idaho is a red state too, which is very interesting. You may have already heard about the stories of town halls that have gotten into really a very aggressive discussing of their Congress people. And this is a similar situation. And I'm going to go into this. And it says Saturday's legislative town hall hosted by County Republican Center Committee turned volatile after some attendees voiced their concerns over the possible repeal of Medicaid expansion and other bills working their way through the Idaho legislature. After making remarks from the audience to several legislative members on stage, Teresa Borenpaul of Post Falls was asked to leave. After refusing, Borenpaul was pulled from her seat, wrestled to the ground, and dragged out of the high school auditorium by 3 unidentified people. In a video on social media, the county sheriff, Bob Norris, can be seen telling her to get up or be arrested before the men stepped in. This is not a negotiation, Norris told Boren Paul. Women deserve a voice, she said, shouting before initial contact with the men. Many in the audience became upset, several leaving the event entirely as the event's MC, Ed Bajarian, continued speaking about Boren Paul just before she was being dragged out. Look at this little girl over here. Everyone, look at her. Bajarian, I don't know what this name is, comments continued as a few dozen audience members began filming the incident, with several more booing and shouting at the Republican and unidentified men. The Republican congressman accused Boren Paul and other audience members of filibustering and continued to talk about the Department of Government efficiency. We've got to be a little aggressive with some of these folks here. Your voice is meaningless right now. I can talk over you all. Is this a town hall or a lecture? One woman in the audience shouted. Several women in the audience held signs in silent protest, including slogans such as Save Voter Approved Medicaid. So this is what is beginning to happen on the ground. People are beginning to speak out. People are beginning to get activated. People are becoming very emotional and invested in getting involved. And it's no coincidence that the young people, not older people, but it's younger people who are getting really interested and starting to put boots on the ground and go to these town halls and begin to speak their minds, much like the Tea Party did, which hurt President Obama in the midterms big time. I mean, not only on the state, not only in the federal level, but on the state level as well. Moving on, this is another thing to watch out for and to look out for. I think that's really important and going to be interesting. And this is the Supreme Court now, moving from the executive branch to the Supreme Court, because this is in furtherance of the conservative movement's attempts to dismantle the rights package. And what we're seeing here is, as I believe, an attempt in what is going to be a more direct attempt to go after gay rights. And here you have the Supreme Court has agreed to hear a straight woman who is claiming reverse discrimination, right? Not based on race, but now based on her sexual orientation. And this is from February 20th. This is out of Reuters. And apparently the fact that the Supreme Court was willing to take this up and to review this woman's situation, this woman's case, shows that they are amenable to beginning to listen to people who are claiming discrimination because of their sexual orientation, which means they're going to start targeting laws that have helped expand the rights of gay people and continue to begin to chip away at those things. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen, of course, women, we've seen civil rights, workers' rights, but we haven't seen gay rights. But now I think is going to be the beginning of an assault on their rights. And this is Andrew Chung writing. Marlene Ames received numerous promotions and good evaluations over the years working in Ohio's youth correction system. So when she was denied a promotion and demoted in 2019 with a $40,000 pay cut, she said she felt shocked, hurt, and humiliated. But according to Ames, that was not all. She had a gay supervisor at the time. She was passed over for a promotion in favor of a gay woman, and she was demoted in favor of a gay man, both of whom Ames asserted were less qualified than her. That's how I came to feel that I was being discriminated on because I was straight and pushed aside for them, Ames said. She's 60 years old. The U.S. Supreme Court is due next Wednesday, that's this Wednesday, to hear arguments in her bid to revive her civil rights lawsuit against the Ohio Department of Youth Services after a lower court threw it out. She is seeking monetary damages from the state. A ruling in her favor by the Supreme Court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, could make it easier for non-minorities, including white people and heterosexuals, to pursue claims of illegal bias, often called reverse discrimination, under a landmark federal anti-discrimination law. The dispute centers around how plaintiffs like Ames must try to prove a violation of Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination based on race, religion, national origin, and sex, including sexual orientation. Ames is challenging a requirement used by some U.S. courts that plaintiffs from majority groups, such as white and straight people, must provide more evidence than minority plaintiffs to make an initial or prima facie claim of discrimination under the seminal 1973 Supreme Court ruling that governs the multi-step process employed to resolve such cases. These courts include the Cincinnati-based 6th U.S. Circuit of Appeals, which ruled against Ames. They require majority group plaintiffs to show background circumstances indicating that a defendant accused of workplace bias is, quote, that unusual employer who discriminates against the majority. The 6th Circuit ruled that Ames could not meet that bar, throwing out her case. A fair shake. Discrimination is discrimination, Ames told Reuters. This will hopefully be able to help anyone who feels they've been discriminated on to get a fair shake in the courtroom and not have to go through the lengths that I had to go through. So again, this is the idea that a person, in my view, which is going to be, I think, pivotal in understanding whether this thing goes anywhere, is can a person decide on their own whether another person who is a different race or a different gender or whatever is quote unquote less qualified? What is the metrics for qualification here? However, what this case looks like it's going to hang on, and it looks like the Supreme Court isn't going to decide. And you can, I mean, again, these are things that it takes time for them to work through the system, but they're going to begin to start breaking away at different requirements that are needed. You know, famously, the Supreme Court has been doing that all over the place regarding civil rights, going back since the Obama years. So either 15 years or more, where they've begun talking about how a new test needs to be created, how we can't go about assuming that there is discrimination when a person says that they've been discriminated against, or not assuming it, etc. So this case is going to hang on this idea of there being that a person who is a white person or heterosexual has to go through an extra layer of difficulty to prove their discrimination is real. They're looking to get rid of that aspect of the requirement of the Civil Rights Act that the courts have put up, that barrier. And I expect them to be able to do that. That's not going to be a heavy lift. Finally, another in the area, I should have mentioned this at the top when I was talking about bird flu, but this is another area where incompetence of this administration is beginning to really show dangerous signs. And this is from SF Chronicle. California flight to Hawaii delayed by air traffic control outage. I expect this to be extremely prevalent. And I really believe that this is going to become something that is going to be made to feel normal and to be normalized. Is the idea that flights are going to be delayed. You're going to go to your flight and it's going to be delayed by half hour, an hour, maybe 2 hours. You're going to have flights that are being recalled back to the airport because of some kind of a technical issue. We're beginning to see the system break down because of what Trump, the Republicans, and Elon Musk are doing. They're dismantling a system that was working. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. And we're beginning to see where the wheels are coming off. And this says several flights to Hawaii from the Bay Area and other regions were delayed or diverted Saturday evening due to a major air traffic control issue. A spokesperson for United, the largest carrier serving San Francisco International Airport, confirmed Sunday that passengers experienced significant disruptions when the Oakland Ocean Air Traffic Control Center suffered an hour-long outage which impacted airspace coordination over the Pacific. One of the affected flights, United Flight 1684, departed from SFO at 6:34 p.m. for Kauai, but was forced to make 4 circular turns before returning to San Francisco Airport at 8:46 p.m. Passengers receive a status update stating your flight is departing late to allow air traffic control to safely manage the volume of aircraft along your route. We value your time and we're sorry for the inconvenience. Bay Area passengers flying United Airlines and other carriers to Hawaii experienced significant delays Saturday evening due to equipment problems. This is going to be standard, I believe, going forward. Again, the system that governs air traffic control, all the reporting is indicating that we needed more air traffic controllers, not fewer. And Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the Republican Party has done just the opposite. They've decided to cut the number of people working for FAA. So that is having its effects, and people are beginning to see the negative effects of that. I expect that to become very common. The ideas and the days of being able to get to your flight and be able to leave on time, same thing with trains, etc., is going to become a thing of the past. And I think that people are just going to have to be made to get used to it. And maybe they will, and maybe they won't. Thank you for joining me on this one. You will see me on the next one. Take care. Hey there, fantastic viewers. Eric Darnley Small here, and I hope you're loving today's episode of What You Missed. You've reached the end of today's show, but don't worry, there's more show coming up. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the bell so that you'll be notified when more content is available. You can also help the channel by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. It helps the YouTube algorithm find new viewers so that I can keep bringing you all this incredible content you enjoy. But wait, there are more ways to support the show. You can make a contribution through the show's PayPal, which goes a long way in helping produce even better content for you. And consider becoming a part of our growing community by joining our Mastodon site at mastodon.vtip.me/@whatyoumissed for more engaging discussions and exclusive updates. And here's something you won't want to miss. Mark your calendars for our live show streaming on YouTube and stream.vtip.me Monday mornings, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your support means the world to me, and together we're making What You Missed the best it can be. Thanks for being a part of my journey.